Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne. And a tender welcome to everyone today for our service. My name is Roy. I will be your platform assistant. And we are happy to welcome Wayne back. He'll be doing the special music for the service. And of course, with our own very special Reverend Karen Gray, who'll be talking to us about nurturing your spiritual idea. So please join me in our opening prayer. At the same time, we pray that mothers be blessed with overflowing joy and love today. We give thanks for all people who nurture, for the teachers and caregivers and healers among us, for the friends who answer the phone in the middle of the night to visit us and bring us food when we're sick, for the people in this congregation who listen to us when we are sad, who send kind, inspiring notes when we are struggling, who laugh and play with us when we are happy, who pray for us and with us, and who Zoom gather together on Sunday mornings, whether it's Mother's Day or not, to cultivate mindful, compassionate, nurturing presence. Blessing all of us, and so it is.
When Karen and I were discussing what I should perform for today, the first thing, of course, she said, it's Mother's Day, so, what can you do that reflects, music that you share with your mom? And my mom was a fantastic singer. She was actually a Copa girl. If any, it can certainly be interpreted as a discovery of faith song too, if you think of it in that way. So I think it's a beautiful tune, written by Ray Noble. It's called "I Hadn't Anyone Till You." I hadn't anyone till you. I was the lonely one till you. I used to lie awake and wonder if there could be someone in this wide world just meant for me. Now I see I had to save my love for you. I never gave my love till you, and through my lonely heart demanding it, something took a hand in it. I hadn't anyone till you. I hadn't anyone till you. I was the lonely one till you. I used to lie awake and wonder if there could ever be someone in this wide world just meant for me. But now I see I had to save my love for you. I never gave my love till you, and through my lonely heart demanding it, something took a hand in it. I hadn't anyone, I was a lonely one. I hadn't anyone but you. Thank you. That's for you, Mom.
Morning, everybody. So glad to be with you today. Today's talk has everything: moms, Jesus, dancing, even Emmett Fox, and some metaphysical Bible interpretation too, because this is unity. Today, we're marking Mother's Day, when we celebrate the best of what a mother can be: a nurturer, a protector, a counselor, an advocate. one of my favorite moms in the Bible is the Canaanite woman in the 15th chapter of Matthew, who is pestering Jesus to heal her daughter, who is severely ill with a mental illness. And Jesus heals a lot of people, as we know, but on this occasion, he's just ignoring her. And he says it's because she's one of the Gentiles and he's here to take care of the people of Israel. So she is really not his problem. But then she's persistent. And so the disciples finally say to Jesus, she is really annoying. Please do something about her. So he says to her, and he finally acknowledges her, and he says, and this is in verse 26, it is not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs, which does give me pause that he's calling them dogs. But anyway, he does. And the woman replies, even the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table, and they live. And Jesus says, that's really good. Your faith is, well, he doesn't say that. He says, your faith is great. Let it be to you as you wish. And your daughter was healed from that very hour. So she is what the Bible refers to as a badass mom who does not take no for an answer. She advocates for her daughter. She gets what her daughter needs. And amazingly, she schools Jesus, right? She changes his mind. That's something that we don't see a lot of. So I definitely like that story. And like a lot of moms, she goes down in history without a name. As I was looking for that story, flipping through the Gospel of Matthew, just before it in chapter 14, I came across another story because the word mother kind of jumped out at me because that's what I was looking for. This one is about a mother who did have a name, Herodias. And Herodias was married to the ruler Herod. There are a lot of rulers Herod, but anyway, she was married to one. And they're having a big banquet for Herod's birthday. And Herodias has a young daughter who gets up and dances for all the people. And Herod is just charmed. It's so wonderful. And he declares there at his party that he will give this girl anything she asks for as the reward for her wonderful dancing. And she goes to her mom and says, Mom, what should I ask for? And Herodias tells her to ask for the head of John the Baptist. And so that's what she does. She says, I want the head of John the Baptist. And she gives it flourish by saying, I want it on a platter. And Herod is kind of like, well, I hadn't really meant to kill John the Baptist. I just wanted to imprison him. But I offered her to give her whatever she wanted, and I did it in front of all these guests. So that would be awkward to back out on it now. So he kills John the Baptist. So that is a case of a mother using her maternal influence for bad. And happy Mother's Day. It's all part of the story. Now, the most celebrated of all the biblical mothers, certainly in the New Testament, is, of course, Mary. Mary is recognized as the mother of Jesus, but as the mother of God. And there is such a great reverence for her in so many places around the world that it's practically a church in and of itself. Now, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up in the Unitarian Church. But I do have friends who grew up in the Catholic Church. And one of my good friends grew up attending Catholic school. And when the kids were well behaved, what they got as a reward was they could go up to the nuns, the teachers' desk drawer, open up this special desk drawer and choose from all the little Blessed Virgin Mary statues inside. And she has a bunch of them, even though this particular friend, I don't really ever think of her as being particularly well behaved, but I guess she managed. And years later, I was able to contribute to her collection with a glow in the dark Blessed Virgin Mary. So I contributed in that way. Now, Mary is beloved, not just as Jesus' mother, but as the universal mother. And Pope John Paul II said this, she is mother to all and mother forever. The goal of her mission is to reproduce in believers the features of her firstborn son. That is her mission, to bring out that holiness, that divinity in all those who look to her, to make others more godlike, to be nurturing to nurture others so that they present their truest, most divine selves to the world. And I have this book, I'll show you. It's called Mary, Mother of All Nations. I've had it for a long time, and I was finally able to really find some things that I wanted to cite here. From that book, I got this line: she will labor to give birth to the Word incarnate, to freedom and liberation, to a great harvest of hope, to a field of peace, bread for the world. This is what I meant when I said that it is practically a church in and of itself. That is a lot. That is a very expansive view of motherhood. Now, one of the things I like about Mary, I like to remind us that Jesus' first miracle that we witness was at the wedding at Cana, where he turned the water to wine. And that was his mother's idea. So she started him off because the hosts had run out of wine. And she says, Jesus, they've run out of wine, do something. And he says, woman, that is not my problem. My time has not come yet. And she says, just do it. And so he does it. And she also says to the servers, do whatever he says. And this might sound really corny, but I do think that it's kind of like she was the first Christian minister, because she was the first person who was saying, just follow his instructions. And anyway, we can say that that is a mother using her influence for good. But Mary's story is not without controversy. It is, after all, a virgin birth. And just, from my perspective, I don't really have an argument with that. I'm totally willing to believe in things that happen outside the norms of what we've come to expect. I'm open. I just think that the traditional emphasis on the virgin birth misses an opportunity, and that is the opportunity to make a great spiritual story relatable. How helpful is religion if it's about other people long ago and far away? And this is what is so wonderful about unity, about New Thought in general, relevance. We can understand what a story means to us. Because before learning to think in metaphysical terms, the virgin birth story was just, a nice story, but not relatable to anybody. We have no other virgin births. So nobody can relate to it and nobody can aspire to it. And so that's kind of a shame. Because spirit and truth reside within all of us. And so spiritual teachings ought to be intensely personal, not remote, not abstract. When our wonderful Reverend Lafayette Seymour was a child, he very much enjoyed Sunday school. He enjoyed the Bible stories. But he would ask the Sunday school teachers, what does it have to do with me? And they had no answer for him. But he kept asking until he got sent to the corner. And I asked him, so when you got to Harvard Divinity School to get your master's degree, did anybody there give you a good answer to that question? He said, nobody. Not until he found unity and learned to go deeper. So that the literal message was here, but the true spiritual message was in his heart and all around, the personal meaning of the stories. So what does the virgin birth have to do with us? Many have given birth, but with a man involved, so in a very mundane kind of way. And many of us have not even given birth at all. So who is this story for? Well, the story is for all of us. But you gotta kind of pan out and look at it bigger. The concept of virgin, I can tell you what it is for me. For me, it's somebody for whom the relationship with the divine is the primary relationship, the most important relationship. The wonderful New Thought teacher Emmett Fox says that the virgin soul is the soul that looks to God alone. And now we're talking about a story that we can relate to, something we can aspire to, because we can, and I believe we want to, aspire to putting God first in our lives. We aspire to always seek that divine identity, that divine connection. And then with that, well, then what? What are we hoping for? We can put God first and then have a baby. Or just as we put virgin under the unity metaphysical lens, we can put have a baby under the metaphysical lens. I'm going to go to Emmett Fox for this. He's not unity, but he's new thought, and he's important to us. It's not that our primary universal goal is to give birth to a child, wonderful as that may be. Our purpose is to give birth to a spiritual idea, to give expression to a spiritual idea. In the words of Rumi, all that you are here for, and the entire meaning of the path of love, is to bring before God a heart bright as a mirror, so God can see his own face in it. What we want that mirror to reflect is the clear and true image of your spiritual idea. That is God's face. Your spiritual idea. Fox explains that the spiritual idea is represented in the Bible as a child. The child Jesus. The spiritual idea from conception to full expression lives the life of an infant into fulfillment. And each child, each spiritual idea is unique and precious. This is where I clarify that I am speaking to the mother in each of you. Emmett Fox says, the conscious discovery by you that you have this power within you and your determination to make use of it is the birth of the child. I'm going to say it one more time. The conscious discovery by you that you have this power within you and your determination to make use of it is the birth of the child. It is as beautiful and universal and personal as that. The spiritual idea in each of us being brought out to the light of day to see the world, to be seen by the world. Think for a minute of this. Think of how you have this. You are the source, the origin, the producer of this divine idea. The spiritual idea that is at once universal and uniquely yours. What does it mean to share this realization with the world? Emmett Fox says that the infant born in consciousness is just such a weak, feeble entity as any newborn child at first. But there is a great power there. What do? We, the good mothers, the nurturers, protectors, counselors, we see that this child, this spiritual idea is a powerful presence, just waiting to fully express its true potential. Follow this storyline because it's a perfect analogy, and this is all Emmett Fox. The spiritual idea that starts out so fragile, needing our protection and our nurturing, becomes strong enough that it no longer depends on our quite so constant vigilance. It develops its own life force to keep it going, and eventually gains such strength and independence that it is vital enough to one day turn the tables and take care of us. He says this, Emmett Fox says this, your ability to contact the mystic power within yourself, frail and feeble at first, will gradually develop until you find yourself permitting that power to take your whole life into its care. Did you hear that? To take your whole life into its care. Happy Mother's Day, friends. Our earliest realization, our first inkling may be tiny, may be humble, may even be uncelebrated. But there is power there. We can give expression to that and nurture it and advocate for it. And if we neglect to do that, then the world is a sadder place, less exciting, incomplete, because we need your idea. The world needs your spiritual idea. When we put God first in that virgin way, when we look first to God, when we seek first the kingdom, when we consider no other relationship as crucial as what we have with our divine nature, then we give birth, we give expression to that spiritual idea, that Christ child. Your miraculous spiritual idea is no less a miracle than Jesus, the baby. Because isn't that your immaculate conception too? The creation within you, given the essential spark of life by the divine omnipotence. This is what Emmett Fox calls the wonder child. He says, as soon as the wonder child is born into your consciousness, the miracle will come into your life. The wonder child will work miracles in your life. Our concept of the divine fact is the fruit of our own soul and may mystically be called our child. The book I'm drawing from is Power Through Constructive Thinking, and the first chapter is The Wonder Child. So how do we, as the good mothers, begin to nurture a child? I remember when my physical mortal body, when I was pregnant with Dorothy, and doing everything I could to take care of this new being. And even before I knew even it was a girl, I didn't know anything about it. I just knew there was somebody. And reading and researching and asking questions of everybody, trying to get all the best ideas and all the best info. And one of the ideas that we read about is the Mozart effect. And that's the idea that if you play Mozart while you're pregnant, the baby will turn out smarter. So we were like, okay, we could have a smarter baby. Let's play Mozart. So we tried that for a little while. The thing is, her dad and I are just not really Mozart listeners. So it wasn't gonna last. We are always listening to jazz. So rather than the Mozart effect, we thought, well, we'll go for the Ellington effect. Maybe that would make the baby cooler. And I was singing a lot of gigs during this time. So Dorothy spent countless hours in utero on the jazz bandstand. And, now she's 13 and she is incredibly cool. So it seems like it really works. And next year, she's going to be going to the Duke Ellington School of the Arts. And that just drives the point home. So that is, of course, my fun personal story. But it does matter, doesn't it? The environment we create for nurturing the child, for nurturing the spiritual idea. Maybe it matters what music you play. Maybe it matters what company you keep, what habits you practice, what ideas you read and share. This is how we nourish and nurture and protect and develop that spiritual idea. I think so, for sure. And since we know there's a spiritual idea being cultivated within each of us right now, all these things matter. Right now. Let's look to the best known of all birth stories. That is the birth story of Jesus. First chapter of Luke, verses, I'm picking 28 and 35. What do we know about the birth of Jesus? We know that there were some attendants, some helpers. We know that this child was celebrated. We know that this child was feared, seen as a threat. We also know that in spite of apparent lack, a place is made for this child to be born, for this idea to be expressed. Remember, when you read the Bible for metaphysical meaning, every character in the Bible represents an aspect of you. And that, of course, includes Mary, the Virgin Mary, for whom the divine connection is paramount. So now, I'm going to do something I have never tried to do before. I am going to put words into the mouth of the angel Gabriel, coming to let you know that the great spiritual idea is being expressed through you, and that by accepting this role, you make the world a better place. I think that the angel Gabriel, who visited Mary, would visit you and say something like this: Dear one, beloved, you are so important. You are so special. God expresses divinity and love through you. God expresses truth through you. God inspires in you a precious spiritual idea. This has nothing to do with anyone else. This is just you. This is between you and God. If you'll do it, if you will accept and claim this spiritual idea, if you'll protect it and nurture it and advocate for it, the world is blessed by you. And so if you heard that message, it might be, like with Mary, not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's important. And it's God's message to you delivered by the angel Gabriel or whatever voice of divine wisdom you hear the most clearly. And I'm going to suggest that in our meditation, you listen for that voice. Maybe it's going to offer you some more clarity or color to the spiritual idea that is yours. Now, for our meditation, I'm going to share a piece from the Mary book, Mary, Mother of All Nations. And then I'm going to invite you to call on divine wisdom. Accept the calling that is coming for you to express this spiritual idea in its fullness and its power. Amplify the spiritual idea that is there for you. This is for the mother in you. And just in case it's not second nature for you to think of yourself as a mother, for instance, if you're a man, then think like a penguin. The male penguins hatch the babies and they look after them in their vulnerable early days. So this meditation is definitely for everybody, not just the literal moms. So let's do our meditation. Let's get comfortable. Find a nice, comfortable posture. Close your eyes if that works for you. Take a deep and lovely breath to nourish your body and calm your mind. And I'll read the prayer to Mary. Stillness of God, settle in our souls. Breath of God, move through us. Light of God, illumine our nights and dawn in our hearts. Shadow of God, fall over us as once you fell over the face of Mary. And sow the seed of holiness, of justice, and of mercy within us. Whisper of love and truth in our waiting hearts. Now, friends, be alert to your waiting heart and what messages or insights might be shared there. Knowing that all is well, we'll have a few moments of silence, remembering that God is present, that there is no separation between you and God. Now, friends, take a quick snapshot of this moment, this feeling, this connection, and begin to gradually open your eyes and return your attention to this present moment and this Zoom room and this community. Thank you for joining me and hearing my message and sharing the meditation with me. I love you. Happy Mother's Day.
The mist across the window hides the lines. Nothing hides the color of the lights that shine. Electricity so fine. Look and dry your eyes. So tired of all the darkness in our lives, with no more angry words to say, can come alive. Get into a car and drive to the other side, babe. Stepping out into the night, into the light, we babe. Stepping out into the night, into the light. We are young but getting old before our time. We'll leave the TV and the radio behind. But don't you wonder what we'll find stepping out tonight. You can dress in pink and blue just like a child, and in a yellow taxi turn to me and smile. We'll be there in just a while if you follow me, babe. Stepping out into the night, into the light, we babe. Stepping out into the night, into the light. We babe, stepping out into the night, into the light. Thank you.
Now I ask you all to join in a closing prayer that I hope reinforces the inspiration that I know I felt from Karen. Today, I remember that a new world does not appear to us. A new world appears through us. that when I remove the veils in front of me, I see that I am more than I appear to be, that all the world's strength and power rests inside me. Today, I permit that strength and power to unfold, for life obliges me over and over and over again to give birth to myself. And so it is, dear ones.